Now that Moon Knight is over, I want to do a couple videos talking about my thoughts overall on certain things involved in the show. One of them in particular, that I think I knew since the debut of the character in episode 2, was I had to talk about Layla El-Faouly. I had to talk about this character because she did something I didn't think was possible in the MCU, and that was genuinely surprised me. And look, I am sure there's a lot of you out there who might disagree with me. Maybe you don't think Layla was an interesting character. Maybe you don't really like the portrayal that May gave to this character. But I'm going to say this. I know a lot about comics. I don't know everything, but I know enough. It is hard for me to be genuinely surprised or intrigued by a choice made in the MCU. And I'm not even just saying that because I've read the books. I'm just saying that because I understand their formula now. I get where they're going. And I feel like what they're doing is fine, but I get it. And I understand how this thing works. I understand how you make this train run on time. So when the Moon Knight show came out, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to see, a lot of stuff I didn't get to see, and a lot of stuff that made me happy. But the one thing for this show I wasn't expecting was to walk away and say, holy crap, the Marlene character was the best part. And look, I know I said Marlene there. Marlene, you can pronounce it however you want. I know I said Marlene there, so I'm just going to say this. The character of Layla is a hodgepodge of other characters we've seen, both in other comic books and in Moon Knight lore before. She is equal parts Marlene, equal parts the Scarlet Scarab identity, and equal parts other characters from early runs of Moon Knight. I'm just going to say that, just so you know what I mean when I say Marlene or Marlene. I am talking about the Layla character, because she essentially represents what Marlene did. Because, you know, Marlene is a character who, in the comic books, her father gets killed by Bushmen. She becomes an ally, friend, lover of Mark Spector, Moon Knight. She is connected to him in that way, just like Layla is in the show. So she does represent that aspect of things. And I am a vigorous defender of the Marlene character. I like her a lot. I think what she represents for the continuity of Moon Knight is important. His growth as a character, his regression as a character. You can put Marlene in any situation. You can see this is where Mark's doing good. This is where Mark's doing bad. She's an important part of the world of Moon Knight. But she is also just the love interest. She really hasn't become a real character in the decades we've seen her. She has been the lover, she has been the friend, and she has been the mother. And I'm not saying that being a mother isn't a character beat. I'm just saying she has grown from being the girlfriend into the wife, into the mother. That is the transition that she did, with no real growth as a character for it. It's just more like, here are a series of events that happen to her. She remains neutral in every single thing she does. And that could be a problem. And yes, there are certain moments where she does get to stand out, but there's also ones where she doesn't. So when I know that that character, the Marlene character, was going to be coming to Moon Knight, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm expecting. I know what I'm going to get here. She's going to be the love interest. And I think what the MCU really has done in these past couple of years is grown away from the love interest thing and making full-fledged characters. But I wasn't expecting it with the Marlene character, because what do you do? She has little going on for her. There's not much you can add to that character, or not much you can take away. So what they did, instead of just being, here's Marlene, here she is showing up, you love her, you don't, she's a character connected to Mark, her daddy died, now she supports this guy. What if we took the idea of that, the dead father who was killed by Bushmen that is intrinsically connected to Mark Spector, and throw her into the same confusing world that Stephen Grant is thrown into? You do that, you genuinely surprised me. And that's the thing I absolutely love about Layla. And I mean this literally. This character is my favorite character the MCU has introduced, has created, has crafted, because it represents what the MCU could do if they not tried harder, but did more, went above and beyond, and that is make a character better for the better. And I think that is something we've seen a few other times. I'm not going to give examples because I'm sure everyone has a different opinion, but can you specifically make a list of characters you think are better in the MCU than they are in comic books? Any big characters? There's not a lot on that list, is there? except for Layla and Marlene. That's an important change because it worked. So let's get into that a little bit. Why does the MCU version of this character work so much more than the comic book version? I have a couple of reasons. First off, it's not just some white girl. And I know that's weird to say because it doesn't matter for her identity, but we are really sticking heavily into the themes of the Egyptian mythology in this show. If you told me that some white girl just showed up and she was like, I'm married to you, I would be kind of bored by that and annoyed. I did a couple casting videos talking about Moon Knight. I did pitch Hilary Duff to be Marlene, and I'm just like, looking back, I could have tried harder. The fact that you get an Egyptian actress set when a show is set in Egypt, hey, that's smart. I was not too familiar with May Kalamawi's work before this. This show made me want to go back and check out her works. I know she's in that show Rami, and I do want to check that out, so I'm probably going to do that now. She's talented, and she's funny, and it's just like the little personality quirks that make her a full character. The way she is awkward around Steven because she's like, you're actually smart and you know things. That's kind of cool. The way she's always eating a marshmallow. It's like, you don't get that with Marlene. You just get that here. And it feels so much better and fleshed out. And okay, how to broach this. The MCU can sometimes not give its female characters the best recognition. And I know that's a controversial take, but I'm just going to say this. America Chavez, Kate Bishop, and Yelena Belova are all characters who feel like they're exactly the same. But here we have Layla. She is doing something different. She is a fully fledged woman. She is capable of handling herself. Not saying any of the other ones aren't. I'm just saying that's a character trait that we notice here. But she is still kind of shy, a little nervous at times, a little confused at the larger world, but confident enough in herself to do the right thing. She still feels the guilt of her father, the guilt of her family weighing on her. She is kind of connected to this darker world, probably through her connection to Mark. You just feel like this woman had a life before she met him, and her life was intrinsically changed by meeting him, but he's the reason her life changed. And growing from that's important. And this leads into one of, I think, the most important changes that is made to this character that just matters to me. She isn't there when Mark or her father are killed. And yes, Marlene is at the site when her father is killed. She brings Mark to the altar. That just gives her more of a connection to that storyline. But in this MCU version, she's not there. Mark is there by himself. And what happens with that is she learns that Mark was kind of responsible for her father's death. She has a proper reaction to it. She gets mad at him. She hates him. She realizes the reason they found love, the reason they met, is because Mark felt guilty. It completely undermines their entire relationship, and it makes her question everything she thought about this man that she's already questioning. That is a really good choice. It is such a strong choice because now she's not connected to them. She can be her own identity, have her own life, and learn things for herself. That is very cool. I would compare her to something like Sharon Carter, which is a character that kind of got ruined because there's the Madripoor connection between the two. It's like, here's a world-shattering event that happened to her. Instead of going the route of Sharon Carter, she went into a different route. It's like, I'm going to hide away for a minute. And suddenly, when I find my husband again, I'm going to remember what it was I did. And I think that's a really cool story that actually gives her something to do, actually gives her motivation, actually feels like a real character. I really like that. She can do the action, she can do the quirky bits, she can do it all. And that is something Marlene never could do. So that's impressive to me. That is so rare to see when you actually make a character cooler, because sometimes they're the joke, sometimes they just become the thing they were before. But I'm impressed by this. And May Kalamawi, I know I said it a little bit, she's just really fun. She's just really fun. She is doing some incredible acting. She displays a completely different range in almost every scene she's in. The anger, the sadness, the frustration. When she is impersonating the Avatar Toette, I'm just like, that is really good, because not everybody could pull that off. Like, that switch from one thing to another, I know I'd say, like, that's not hard to do, but the way she did it, where it's like anger to confidence to like the little hand movements, that is hard to do. She pulled that off convincingly. just updating this character, making her relevant, making her her own identity, understanding her relationship might be toxic and maybe growing from that is kind of impressive, but still realizing and admitting to herself that she loves both men that she is with. That's really cool. And then it does something I wasn't expecting. It actually makes her something Marlene never could be, an actual superhero. And I love seeing the backstory to why Layla became the Scarlet Scarab. It's just like Muhammad is seeing his daughters, like there's no real superhero on screen of like that naturally curly hair or the Egyptian feel to them. Here you go. Why don't we make that character something special? And that is cool because it's earned. She doesn't want to do it, but it's an earned moment for her and the story when she realizes, okay, there's more at stake here than just my willingness to do this. If I comply to a better god than maybe Khonshu, I could actually result in something here. And I think more so than other female characters that are presented on this screen, this one I think is going to respond well with a younger audience because she is a hero for everyone. It feels authentically cool, and I never expected that. I never expected the Marlene character to become a superhero. It just never crossed my mind. It seemed so pandering to do it, but this is natural. It works. It feels this character matters, and the fact that they got it to work so naturally is great. It's fantastic. The costume's amazing. It's such a cool moment, such a cool fight, and I just watched this entire show, and every time she was on screen, every little motivation, every little action, every reaction, it just made me go, you really made your own character out of some pieces of other ones that don't matter, and you made them and combined them into something so cool, so powerful. I wasn't expecting to see this. Layla El-Faouly is my favorite MCU character. She's my favorite new character that a comic book franchise has introduced in a long time, and I think she represents the best parts of comic book storytelling. You mess it up the first time, you get the right talent and the right creators behind it, you can make something special. I really hope the audience and the other people responded to this character as well as I did. I haven't really seen how people are feeling about Layla, but she's the best part of this. She really made it work. Every little detail, every little action about her was fantastic. I will be thinking about this character for a long time, so much so that this is not the only video I will be talking about Layla El-Faouly. I have another video in mind to talk about the future of this character because I love her so much and I'm so impressed with how they handled the Marlene character. It shouldn't work as well as it did, but it worked above and beyond my expectations. And that is why, amongst many other reasons, Layla El-Faouly is my favorite character in the MCU. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.
Demon, face the vengeance of the Moon Knight.